everyone. There's a beautiful poem that goes like this. When you thought I wasn't looking, I saw you hang up my first painting on the refrigerator and I wanted to paint another one. When you thought I wasn't looking, I saw you feed a stray cat and I thought it was good to be kind to animals. When you thought I wasn't looking, I saw you make my favorite cake for me and I knew that little things are special things. When you thought I wasn't looking, I heard you say a prayer and I believed there is a God I could always talk to. When you thought I wasn't looking, I felt you kiss me goodnight and I felt loved. When you thought I wasn't looking, I saw that you cared and I wanted to be everything that I could be. When you thought I wasn't looking, I looked and wanted to say thank you for all the things I saw when you thought I wasn't looking. Next week is Mother's Day, and obviously as Jews every day is Mother's Day and Father's Day. And it's amazing how we make impressions on our children and sometimes we don't even realize we're influencing them by our example. The opening verse of this week's Torah portion says, Emor al Kohanim, say to the Kohanim, the sons of Aaron, and say to them. So Rashi asks, why is the verse repetitive? Say to the Kohanim and say to them. Why repeat it? The Rashi says that there's an instruction here not only to instruct the Kohanim, but that they should in turn instruct their children, meaning that this verse is the basis for the idea of education. That as parents, we have not only a responsibility, or as adults, for ourselves, but we have to invest in the next generation and teach our children, inspire and guide the youth, the children. But the question is, why does it say emor? It should have said daber. The usual word for speak and communicate is daber, speak. Here when it talks about teaching your children, it says emor. Technically the difference is daber is speak, emor is say. What's the difference between say speak or say? And the rabbis explain it in the following manner. Daber is an instruction. Tell your kids, do this, don't do that. Emor is speak to them. What's the difference between saying something to them and instructing to them? When you instruct someone to do something, you're saying, do it for me, because I told you to do it. As opposed to when you say, do it because it's for your own benefit, it's for your own interest. You show them by example how this is beneficial for you and this will improve and elevate your life. Don't do it for some external reason. Do it because it's in your best interest to do this. And that's the best way to influence a child. When a child sees that the parent gets joy and pleasure and meaning and fulfillment from doing something, the child wants to do it too. But when the child sees the parent doesn't get any pleasure out of that, he's just telling them to do it because you have to do it and you force the child, then the child will not want to do it. And that's why I always say that the most important thing is not how many mitzvahs you do, although that's very important, but how much joy you do it with. If your children see you doing things with joy, if your kids see you love going to shul to daven, they're going to want to go to shul to daven. But if they see you go, but you have no joy in going, and you're kvetching and saying, when's this going to be over? Or, oh, we have to go to shul. Why would they want to do that? And the same thing is with Shabbos. And the same thing is with every mitzvah. It's how much joy they see you having. And when they see that it improves and enhances your life, they'll want to incorporate it into their life. Last night we had a graduation for the Paris Leadership Program. We have 35 students who take a leadership course. We had a beautiful graduation at the Norton Museum. And the guest speaker, the commencement address, was given by an individual by the name of Steve Levine. Steve Levine is a very successful man, but also a big philanthropist. His most recent donation was he gave the Morse $5 million to build a new tower called the Levine Tower. He's the chairman of the board of Morse Life, and a very successful man. And he spoke to the students, and he said many, many beautiful things. But one of the things which he said to them, he said, when I was a kid, I remember going with my mother to the store. And there was an elderly woman behind the counter in the cosmetics department of the department store. And she was a little slow and she was taking her time. And I got agitated that this woman is taking so long. And my mother looked at me and said, how dare you get annoyed? Do you see this woman? You see at her age, she has to stand on her feet 8 hours a day taking care of customers. How dare you get upset at her for taking her time? And he said, I'll never forget those words from my mother of compassion. And he said, today I have a company with thousands of workers, but my mother's words ring in my ears. Don't only see it from your perspective. Think about your employee. Think about their job. Always have sensitivity and care and compassion. We never know which words are going to leave an indelible mark on our children or our grandchildren for years and years to come. If we lead by example, we have the highest chance of having the longest and the most positive influence and impact on our children and our grandchildren. And that's the opening commandment of this week's Torah portion. Speak to your children, teach them, guide them, but most importantly, do it by personal example.